Okay, this meeting of the board is now called to into session, and we'll start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone this evening, and we'll start by approving our agenda on page 2. Is there a motion, please?
President Van Antwerp, I move that the Board of Education approve the agenda as printed.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? The motion passes. We'll proceed with our agenda and go right to the superintendent's report. Mark?
Well, we only have one thing scheduled, and that's a bond project update, so Johnny Edwards will present that. And while he's coming up, I'll just remind everyone that we do have a 50th year celebration at West Middle School this Wednesday from 6 to 8 o'clock. So that's open to the public, and we welcome board members and anyone who wants to stop by and maybe visit with some staff members who were around at that time and have a little program there as well. So with that, Johnny?
Thank you, Superintendent Beelang, as well as members of the Portage Public Schools Board of Education. Just a couple of updates. One related to our facelift for Curtain Wall project at Portage Northern. We have just some minor painting to be completed. The contractor's been painting over the weekend. Last weekend they painted one of the 2 front canopies. Next weekend they will continue. The red brick still remains, but it will be painted as well. Also at Northern, at the parking lot area, the landscaping is about 90% complete. The fencing is about 95% complete. The lot has been in full usage this fall, and the principal reported that those who have parked in the parking lot has been appreciative of the new space. Moving over to our bond projects for 2021 at Central Elementary School, the asphalt for the new playground has been complete. Fence posts are all set, and the mulch would be delivered and installed within the next couple of days. The plan is to have the playground completed for next week. The water main is still a work in progress. We continue site grading. We are currently relocating some of the irrigation around the school. The foundations for the new school are in progress, and the walls are being poured. At Haverhill, the Manhattan Street work is still progressing well. There's no specific date that has been set yet for the topping for that particular road. There's one minor repair element that must be completed before the topping. We're currently working on the construction entrance, which is on the adjacent street of Culture. We will be finishing some work around the inlets, and that's where our stormwater and drain system would work. That's being taken care of for the final entrance and exit on the Culture Street side, but this work will not affect our ongoing construction. Specifically on the site, they continue doing the grading and the prep work for the site with plans of doing the footings and foundations next month. And then lastly, Woodland Elementary School, as I reported at our last board meeting, we had held an engagement session with the students, the building advisory team, and the school community. And I referenced that AI technology the students were engaged in. The following day, we engaged in design discussions with our staff members from Woodland Elementary School, our Curious Kids program, a Great Start Readiness program, or GSRP, and then our Early Childhood Special Education program, or ECSC. All of those programs are working together collaboratively on incorporating or infusing early childhood education into the new elementary school. So that ends my report for tonight, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about our bond projects.
All good news, Johnny. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to our comments and communications section. Is there any comments from any board trustees this evening?
Yeah, I actually have one. It's a call out to a 1998 Portage Northern graduate who happens to be the president of Hope College now, Matt Scogan. And he was here to speak last Wednesday evening down at the Wine Loft. He, after leaving here, got a degree at Hope, Public policy degree at Harvard, went to Wall Street, worked for the Defense Department, and then he decided college president would be the next fit on his resume. But he came up, he wants to figure out a better way for tuition. Now, he happens to be at a private college, and he has established what's called the Hope Forward Plan. And the idea is, you don't pay now, but when you get out of here, we're going to sign a covenant that you're going to support us into the future. And they're starting with 100 students to test this out. About 6 months ago, a favorite author of mine, Malcolm Gladwell, caught wind of this. And he went over to Hope and spent the day, brought Mitch Albom with him. And they put together a whole podcast, and now it's kind of beginning to mushroom. Wow. So, something to keep an eye on, and he's just an engaging individual, and I did not recall or remember until last Wednesday. It's kind of like, by the way, he's one of ours.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome. That's great.
Thanks for sharing that, Keith.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's
Good stuff.
really cool.
Anyone else?
There was recently a marching band invitational over at McCamley Knight Field, and I just want to say the bands who played were incredible, and it was a very well-run event.
Great.
There are a couple of shows coming up at Portage Central starting October 27th through November 5th. They're going to be performing Little Women, the musical, and Portage Northern will be showcasing The Little Mermaid in mid-November. So hope you can go. They're always good.
Thanks, Terry. Anyone else?
Well, I will quickly say, Keith, so Malcolm Gladwell is one of my favorites, and I listened to the Revisionist History podcast, and I heard this about 6 months ago. So very cool. I did not know the Portage connection. That's great. And then I will, not tongue-in-cheek, but thank my colleagues for a great retreat. I have to do this because, I mean, it's extra time, and it's kind of tedious, and but it's important stuff. So appreciate the extra time today.
Thank you, Bo. Anyone else? Okay, let's move to our action items, consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. Number 1, approval of the September 11th, 2023 Committee of the Whole work session and closed session. Number 2, approve the contract for nursing services between the Portage Public Schools and Health Bar LLC in the amount of $283,500 using funding from 31AA for the 23-24 school year. And finally, to approve the contract between Portage Public Schools and Tower Pinkster for architectural services for the West Middle School servery remodeling in the amount of $105,000, the funds for which will come from the food service excess fund balance. Are there any exceptions to the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved, and now we'll go to our action items on page 18. We have 3 proclamations tonight, so I was wondering if somebody could make one motion for all 3, the National School Lunch Week, the School Bus Safety Week, and the Red Ribbon Week proclamation. Could someone do that, please?
Certainly. President Van Antwerp, I move that the Board of Education approve the National School Lunch Week proclamation, the School Bus Safety Week proclamation, and the Red Ribbon Week proclamation as presented.
Thanks, Terry. Nice job on the Red Ribbon Week. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you very much. So we have 3 proclamations, the first one being the National School Lunch Week proclamation, and we need somebody to read that proclamation for us, please. On page 19.
Mr. President, I will volunteer to read this one. This is the proclamation, National School Lunch Week, October 9 through 13, 2023. Whereas it is with great respect for the accomplishments of Portage School food service leaders, servers, cashiers, and driver personnel and substitutes that we commemorate October 9 through 13, 2023 as National School Lunch Week. During this special observance, we encourage all citizens to recognize the dedication and skill of our food service employees. And whereas each day, food service employees prepare and serve thousands of lunches, This is in addition to ordering, storing, and expediting each menu item to each location, adhering to food safety, sanitation, and nutritional guidelines, as well as giving each customer the time and consideration to listen, hear, and deliver what they're looking for each day. Fortunately, we have exemplary professionals who've devoted their careers to providing high-quality service to our children and staff. And whereas, on behalf of our students and staff, it's a pleasure to commend the women and men who accept and meet the challenges of school food service. The observance of School Lunch Week is a welcome opportunity to thank these patient, caring, skilled public servants. Those involved in this pursuit should be very proud of their contribution to education. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education that we proudly commemorate October 9 through 13, 2023 as National School Lunch Week, and we commend everyone who's contributed to the successful operation of our lunch program. By working together, we can make a difference in every student's life. To proclaim this 25th day of September 2023, Portage Public Schools Board of Education.
Thank you very much, Bo. The next School Bus Safety Week proclamation is on page 21. Who would like to read that? Well, I'll do it. Whereas,
2/10 of a second, Randy.
oh, go ahead, Keith. Whereas, it is with great respect for the accomplishment of Portage's professional school bus drivers, mechanics, office staff, and manager that we commemorate October 16 through 20, 2023 as School Bus Safety Week. During this special observance, we encourage all citizens to recognize the dedication and skill of school transportation employees. And whereas, coordinating the countless routes, driving so many miles, and supervising the dozens of students on each vehicle requires an outstanding effort. Fortunately, we have exemplary professionals who have devoted their careers to transporting our children safely. And whereas, our fleet and staff have a proud tradition of excellence during annual safety inspections by the Michigan State Police Motor Carrier Inspectors. And whereas, on behalf of our young people, it is a pleasure to commend the women and men who accept and meet the challenge of school transportation. The observance of School Bus Safety Week is a welcome opportunity to thank those patient, skilled, and caring public servants. Those involved in this pursuit should be very proud of their contribution to education. And whereas, the special week serves as a fitting time to urge all drivers to become more aware of school safety regulations. Serious injuries and deaths occur when motorists fail to stop for school buses. Now that the school year has begun, we remind drivers to be cautious and attentive around school buses. It is also an appropriate time to ask students to listen to their bus drivers and pay close attention to bus safety rules. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education that we proudly commemorate October 16 through 20, 2023 as School Bus Safety Week, and we commend everyone who has contributed to the successful operation of our school buses. We also encourage all citizens to drive carefully and to be alert around school buses. By working together, we can make this the safest school year ever. Proclaim this 25th day of September 2023, Portage Public Schools Board of Education. And finally, the Red Ribbon Week proclamation on page 23.
Sure, I'll read that.
Thank you.
Proclamation Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd to 31st, 2023. Whereas tobacco, alcohol, prescription drug abuse, and other drug usage among young people is a serious concern. And whereas it is imperative that a visible and unified effort of education and prevention be continued to reduce the demand for drugs. And whereas children of parents who talk to their teens about drugs are less likely to use drugs than those who don't. And whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign will be celebrated in communities throughout America during Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd to 31st, 2023. And whereas business, government, law enforcement, schools, religious institutions, service organizations, youth, physicians, senior citizens, the military, sports teams, and individuals will demonstrate their commitment to drug-free, healthy lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during this week-long campaign. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Portage Public Schools does hereby proclaim October 23rd to 31st, 2023 as Red Ribbon Week and encourage Portage citizens to participate in drug prevention education activities, showing our commitment to a drug-free community through education about the dangers of drug abuse and by setting a good example. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the Portage Public Schools encourages all citizens to pledge, be kind to your mind, live drug-free. Proclaim this 25th day of September 2023, Portage Public Schools Board of Education.
Thank you, Terry. Any comments, discussion? Well, the board wants to thank all our school food service workers and our school bus drivers. And this resolution also highlights the importance of Red Ribbon Week. All those in favor of passing the 3 proclamations, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The proclamations passed. And we are now moving to our discussion item this evening, which is the Central Middle School and North Middle School acoustical panels.
Again, Johnny Edwards will handle this information, lead the discussion. Johnny?
Thank you again. I would like to recommend the Board of Education approve this purchase for the acoustic panels at Central Middle and North Middle School. The amount of $46,700 coming from our 2019 bond fund, proposal on unallocated contingency. In short, as you know, North Middle School and Central Middle School are prototypes of each other at the time in which they were constructed. We did install acoustical panels in the science rooms in both schools, as well as the art and the fabrication lab. These spaces we've monitored over the last couple of years, and we're still getting concerns raised from staff members about echoing in the room. And so we worked with OAK to put out a bid for some work. So we did receive 3 bids back. The lowest bid was from Ritzema Associates at $46,700, all the way to the highest bid of $83,250. We feel really comfortable with this bid, particularly Ritzema installed the acoustical panels at North Middle School when it was designed. So this one brings Central Middle up to a level where North Middle School is, and ramps both of them up a number of levels. We work with our architects who designed the buildings with this design feature to be able to bring some more comfort to the learning environment for our staff and students. So I'll be happy to answer any questions from the board.
Thanks, Johnny. Sounds like a great plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have a motion on page 27 to go into closed session to discuss collective bargaining strategy. Is there a motion, please?
Mr. President, I make the motion that the Board of Education move into closed session to discuss collective bargaining strategy as allowed under the Open Meetings Act 15.268, Section 8C.
Thank you, Ian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. This is a roll call.
I'm sorry, who made the second?
I think it was Terry and I.
Okay, thank you. Roll call vote. Mr. Kroll?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford? Yes. Mrs. Novaria?
Yes.
Mr. Van Antwerp?
Yes.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Ms. Larson?
Yes.
Very good. And closed session is here, or are we moving?